Intense stacks the points in the fastest version of tennis ever. 10 teams will compete for $30,000 in cash all summer long. Don't miss out on the action. Get your tickets now at tennisturnedup.com.
Please be advised, you may want to stop eating the following foods immediately: broccoli, kale, blueberries, quinoa, spinach.
I thought those were good for me.
What's healthy for one person may cause inflammation for another. So how do you know what your body actually needs? That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that analyzes your real-time biology to give you personalized nutrition guidance and custom supplements. Many people who use Viome report more energy, better digestion, and improved mood within months. Stop guessing. Start knowing. Visit Viome.com. V as in Victor, IOME.com.
This July 4th, come celebrate at America's Block Party, hosted by America 250. America's Block Party is a can't-miss 4th of July concert happening at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Experience music performances from major artists, patriotic tributes, and the kickoff to Giving Forth, helping to make July 4th the largest day of giving in American history. It's more than just fireworks. Learn more about this landmark celebration at america250.org.
Professional wrestling fans, the action continues every week.
This is total non-stop action!
TNA Thursday Night Impact every week on AMC. For showtimes and more information, visit TNAWrestling.com.
Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next two combined. So whatever your customers are into, true crime, sports, comedy, culture, they'll hear your message. Plus, only iHeart can extend your message to audiences across broadcast radio. And all this reach means everything. Just think about the universal marketing formula. The number of consumers who hear your message times the response rate equals the results. Now let's get those results growing for you. Think podcasting can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, radio, and podcasting. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com. Or call 844-844-iHeart. One more time. Call 844-844-iHeart and get podcasting working for you.
Awake? Debatable. Hungry? Absolutely. Your morning routine consisted of scrambling to find your phone, wallet, and keys, and you're already out the door. Cool off with a refreshing large Big Gulp drink at 7-Eleven. Cold, refreshing, and made the way you like it. It's available at 7-Eleven and just 59 cents with 7 rewards. Download the app and swing by the local 7-Eleven near you. Valid through 6/23/26 while supplies last. Participating stores. See app for full terms.
Weekend news and current events. The Weekend Dive.
My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. He's even running a vegan campaign, whatever that is.
We can make a good deal right now, but maybe not a great deal, and if it's not a great deal, we're not making it.
We cannot and will not allow any cases of Ebola to enter the United States.
Welcome back to the Weekend Dive. This week, NASA showed off its plans to build a new base on the moon. 7 years, $20 billion. It will take well over 100 rocket launches and span hundreds of square miles of the lunar surface.
For all we hope to accomplish in this endeavor, what we are embarking upon is extremely challenging. And we know so little from what is a combined 80 hours of lunar astronaut EVA time across the Apollo missions. And that was more than a half century ago. So we are not jumping right into the glass dome moon base as a service. As we announced during the ignition event, we intend to take an iterative approach, sending a demand signal to industry for a lot of landers and rovers and tech demonstrations and all the scientific payloads these missions can accommodate. We are leveraging the NASA playbook from the 1960s, figuring out what works and what doesn't in this epic science of survival, because the moon base is as beautiful as it is hostile.
NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman says that establishing a permanent base on the moon will be difficult and a real challenge for humanity.
I'm often asked why we send our astronauts into such harsh and dangerous and unforgiving environment of space or the lunar surface, and at such great cost. And we go for the technology we will pioneer to get there, the science and all that we will learn that will make life better here on Earth, to advance humankind on this great adventure, to inspire the next generation to do it better than we can, and to be very clear, to master the skills for where we will inevitably go next.
Also noting China's ambitions to establish a base on the moon, Isaacman says this will be a worthwhile endeavor.
So for those waiting patiently, the grand return is close at hand, and we will not slow down. We are moving with the confidence and the purpose to accomplish the missions that only NASA is capable of achieving, and we are really just getting started.
Search and recovery operations continued into the weekend after a chemical tank at a paper mill in Longview, Washington, imploded this week. NBC's Morgan Chesky.
Footage from inside the plant shows that in some cases it crushed vehicles, flipped over trucks. And that is what's making it difficult for crews to kind of get back into that area.
Chesky reports federal investigators are on scene looking for answers as to why this happened.
In the meantime, local officials are telling the public around this area to stay away from any water drainage areas, stressing that further testing needs to be done to ensure that there was not any significant contamination.
And Chesky describes this as a pretty tight-knit community.
This loss is hitting especially hard. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson saying that this very well could be the most tragic loss of life from a workplace-related incident in Washington's history.
That tank contained about 900,000 gallons of a noxious chemical when it imploded. The 6-month Atlantic hurricane season begins on Monday, June 1st. Ken Graham is the head of NOAA and says that there are new maps that will be rolling out this year, changing that familiar cone that we've seen, reminding people that there are impacts from hurricanes and tropical storms well inland from the coast.
You know, the impacts don't stop at the coast. The impacts go way inland, and we've seen that over and over and over again, including most of the fatalities end up being inland as well. So as a result, you know, looking at a cone that highlights all those inland threats is a big step forward for the public to understand what these threats are.
And while urging Americans to be prepared, Dr. Graham says he's going to add something else to his message, something he's going to repeat a lot.
You know, I think not just officials, but the public thinks the big storms are going to come across the Atlantic. You're going to see them. You're going to have weeks' notice, plenty of time. That is not the case. And this stat hit me when I was at NAC. It hit me. I never forgot it, and it still hits me today. Looking back in time at our records, every Category 5 that's made landfall in this country was a tropical storm or less 3 days out. So they rapidly intensify. They get here quick. So everybody, you know, you think you might have a week on your timeline. The reality is you may only have days. That's why that preparedness early is absolutely everything, and I will repeat that in this position, next position, retirement. I don't care what it is over the next 20 years. I'm going to keep repeating that stat constantly.
And Graham warns, don't let down your guard just because they predict fewer storms this year.
There'll never be a Hurricane Justa. We'll never make that a name. There's no such thing as just a Cat 1, just a tropical storm, just a Cat 2. That is absolutely not the case. It doesn't matter what it is. You got to look at the size, the forward motion. Little wiggles matter on the impacts. Even the smallest storm, if it's slow enough and big enough, is going to create catastrophic flooding and storm surge. All right? There's no such thing as Hurricane Justa. We've got to make sure the public pays attention to every single one of these systems and the actual impacts, not the category, not the name, but the actual impacts associated with that storm. And that includes the tornadoes, heavy rain, damaging winds, even the high surf and rip currents as well, including the storm surge.
With Graham reminding people the biggest threat from a hurricane isn't the wind, it's the water.
I mean, we just got to keep repeating over and over the dangers of flooding. So you look at the last 10 years, over half of the deaths are flooding, and a lot of those are inland, and most of those are in vehicles. So we know what's causing the fatalities. So we've got to get the word out. We've got to get the preparedness out. We need everybody's help to be able to do that. So being able to look at where you live in a flood zone and be prepared for that, and where you got to go in the evacuations, getting ready, getting your home ready, looking at that evacuation plan. And I don't think the public totally realizes 6 inches of fast-moving water will knock you off your feet. You know, 12 inches will carry most cars away. And even people that think I got some big, giant SUV, Well, guess what? About a couple feet of water will wash that one away too. It doesn't matter. So we've got to keep reminding people of these things. Turn around. Don't drown. We've got to keep reminding everybody of that. Develop that evacuation plan now.
And remember, local government knows best, especially when it comes to those evacuation orders that often cover low-lying areas.
Please listen to those local officials. A lot of people say they don't evacuate because they don't want to sit in the traffic or travel 200-300 miles, when the reality is they may only have to go 10 or 20, 30 miles inland. Please listen to the local officials. You have to understand what you have to do ahead of time and have that plan. Begin planning early and being able to do that. Check on your neighbors, check on your family. Make sure to have that preparedness kit for weeks ahead of time.
And if money's tight these days and you think maybe batteries or extra food are just not in the budget, chip away at it slowly. Build that inventory to protect you and your family.
Make sure you got days, if not a week, of supplies ahead of time. Right now, there's no lines. Stock up. Stock up now. That's what I would do. It's a perfect time to go get that information. The non-perishable food, medicine. The last winter storm event really opened my eyes on something. There were a lot of fatalities for people that didn't account for medicine and dialysis. We have to remind people over and over, you're not going to have access to those things for a week or more after a storm. They have to be prepared for these things. So especially any special needs like that, we got to remind them, be ready, because those are preventable if we can get them ahead of time.
And don't forget about that other special member of the family.
And also make sure we account for the pets. Too many heartbreaking stories after these events, seeing the pets wandering around. Got to account for the pets going forward.
If you choose to evacuate to a shelter, make sure you have a pet carrier for your animal and make sure that shelter accepts pets. Better yet, ride out the storm with a friend or family member who will welcome the pet into their home.
So planning on no electricity for weeks. Make sure to have that, the radio, the flashlight, the NOAA weather radio, still the greatest tool. Have it. We got it. It'll alert you. It'll get the information when you need it. A couple of places to get information. The National Hurricane Center. Go to hurricanes.gov. Get the latest. That's part of the story. Maybe the biggest. Have the latest information. That forecast changes. There's something called... there's an old term, when you look at the first forecast, you lock onto that. There's some social science that says that you can't lock onto that first forecast. You got to pay attention to it. It can change with time. So got to go to hurricanes.gov, get the latest. Go to weather.gov, the forecast offices across the country getting the information out.
Another website with valuable information to help you prepare your home for the storm season ahead is FEMA's website at ready.gov. And a reminder, NOAA is predicting a below-average season this year with 8 to 14 storms powerful enough to get a name. 3 to 6 of those storms will be classified as hurricanes, and 1 to 3 of those will become major hurricanes of Category 3 or stronger. The hurricane season runs through November 30th. Texas politics and the Trump effect next as the Weekend Dive continues. I'm Rory O'Neill.
You probably have an app for streaming and an app for podcasts.
But does your audio bundle include an app for radio?
An app for what's happening right now? An app for breaking news that'll change your daily routine? An app that starts your morning with what you missed last night?
That app is iHeartRadio.
The app that lets you listen to thousands of live radio stations and more. Download the #1 app for radio.
The free iHeartRadio app today.
iHeartRadio.
Forget everything you know about tennis. This is tennis turned up. Experience fast, fierce, professional co-ed team tennis in a custom-built Atlanta arena where the volume stays high. Ditch the quiet please for live DJs, non-stop entertainment, and action-packed matches where fans are a part of the show. No weird scoring, no sets, no endless matches. Intense stacks the points in the fastest version of tennis ever. 10 teams will compete for $30,000 in cash all summer long. Don't miss out on the action. Get your tickets now at tennisturnedup.com.
You've got to try the new TikTok diet.
Just ask Chat.
I just take blue-green algae.
Or you could trust your gut. When it comes to your health, how do you know what's right for you? That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that analyzes your real-time biology to give you personalized nutrition guidance and custom supplements. Not trends, your biology. Many people who use Viome report better digestion, more energy, and improved mood within months. Stop guessing. Start knowing. Learn more at Viome.com. V as in Victor, IOME.com.
Professional wrestling fans, the action continues every week. Watch TNA Thursday Night Impact every week on AMC.
It is like electricity.
electricity flowing through your veins.
Don't miss the adrenaline, the drama, and the total non-stop action.
No one can ever be as good as this right here.
Don't miss the action of TNA Thursday Night Impact every week on AMC. For showtimes and more information, visit TNAWrestling.com.
Running for office means having something important to say. Radio is the most personal medium out there. Voters hear the real you, exactly the way you want to be heard. No filters, no AI, just your voice, your message. And it's 1/10 the time and cost of video. Don't just campaign. Connect with millions all over the country, even thousands in the smallest communities with radio. Be on the air in just 48 hours. Visit winwithiheart.com. That's winwithiheart.com.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio, quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beep when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime, no experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class for your kids near you at tryfencing.org. That's tryfencing.org.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Call 877-CARS for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now or go to carsforkids.org.
7 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Vacation voucher not available in Oregon.
This July 4th, come celebrate at America's Block Party, hosted by America 250. America's Block Party is a can't-miss 4th of July concert happening at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Experience music performances from major artists, patriotic tributes, and the kickoff to Giving Forth, helping to make July 4th the largest day of giving in American history. It's more than just fireworks. Learn more about this landmark celebration at america250.org.
Awake? Debatable. Hungry? Absolutely. Your morning routine consisted of scrambling to find your phone, wallet, and keys, and you're already out the door. Cool off with a refreshing large Big Gulp drink at 7-Eleven. Cold, refreshing, and made the way you like it. It's available at 7-Eleven and just 59 cents with 7 rewards. Download the app and swing by the local 7-Eleven near you. Valid through 6/23/26 while supplies last. Participating stores. See app for full terms.
Grand Canyon University, an affordable private Christian university, is one of the largest universities in the country, offering more than 285 programs online. In addition to federal grants and aid, GCU's online students received nearly $161 million in institutional scholarships in 2024. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu/myoffer to see the scholarships you may qualify for.
We've all had those moments, and I'm tired of them. The internet gets slow, frozen screens, endless buffering. You know, there's a better option available in our area right now. Starlink. Starlink delivers fast satellite internet up to 400 plus megabits per second with more than 99.99% average uptime, even during bad weather. That means reliable internet for 4K streaming, remote work, online gaming, and smart home devices without the constant outages. Ready for better internet? Order online in just 2 minutes at starlink.com/radio. That's starlink.com/radio.
I used to feel so guilty handing over the tablet just to get things done.
We all do, but honestly, I switched to Lingo Kids. The guilt is gone and the kids are obsessed.
Really? Do they actually like it?
Oh, they love it. It's all games, music, lessons, and stories. They think they're just playing, but I know they're safe from weird ads and junk.
Mom, look! I'm flying into space!
See? They're happy, I'm happy.
Lingo Kids!
Everything kids love.
Top of the latest news and events. The Weekend Dive.
I take issue with the characterization that munitions are depleted in a public forum. That's not true.
No one who poses a risk to public health is walking out the front door of the streets of Omaha.
Welcome back to the Weekend Dive. I'm Rory O'Neill. This week, the man charged with trying to shoot President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Cole Allen, was back in court to enter his plea. News Nation's Hannah Brandt has that story.
It was a pretty brief arraignment for Cole Allen here at the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C. It lasted only about 20 minutes. Allen entered the courtroom wearing an orange jumpsuit. His hands and legs had cuffs around them. His lawyers entered a plea of not guilty on his behalf for all 4 of those federal counts that he's facing. A reminder that those include an attempt to assassinate the president, assaulting a federal officer, and then 2 firearm counts. Allen could face a life sentence in prison if he's convicted of just that assassination attempt charge alone. Prosecutors say Allen came to the hotel that was hosting the White House Correspondents' Dinner and then allegedly ran past Secret Service agents armed with knives and guns. They say he was trying to kill the president and other administration officials. Now, the other key moment was this discussion about the defense motion to dismiss the prosecutors in this case. Allen's lawyers are arguing that Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro have too close of personal connections to it because they know they were both at the dinner themselves and so could be considered victims. The attorneys also noting they have close relationships with the apparent target of this shooting, President Trump. Allen's lawyers say both of those things could create a conflict of interest, but the judge said looking at the 4 charges Allen is facing, he would be surprised if Blanche and Pirro would be actually considered victims, though nothing official was decided on that issue in court. The next court date is a status conference, which is set for June 29th, the morning of that date. That'll be the next time that we expect to see Allen in court.
News Nation's Hannah Brandt reporting. Nonprofits are feeling the squeeze. More Americans need help, but federal dollars are drying up. Emily Peck is a national correspondent at Axios. And Emily, there was a survey that just came out this week that showed just how tough it is, tough times out there for a lot of the charities that are trying to help Americans.
Oof, it really is a tough time for nonprofits. The survey that came out on Tuesday was from the Center for Effective Philanthropy, and they talked to a bunch of nonprofit CEOs, and 66% of them had concerns about their organization's financial stability. The share reporting a deficit, in other words, more money going out than coming in, rose to 39% from 22% back in 2022.
Right, because the Trump administration with Congress has really cut back a lot of the philanthropy, I guess it's not philanthropic, but the support of charities that really are a lifeline for many communities and don't survive without federal help.
That's right. The federal government has cut hundreds of billions of dollars in federal grant money that goes out to nonprofits of all different kinds, food banks, immigrant aid groups, homeless shelters, gang prevention, on, you name it. Nonprofits really need that money. There was a report from the Urban Institute out earlier this year that basically showed there's no congressional district in the country where a typical nonprofit that receives grant money could have covered expenses without that government money. They really need it. And even the organizations that don't get government funds are now finding it harder to fundraise because there's just less money in the system overall.
Well, right. And in your story this week in Axios, it showed that government grants to nonprofits total at least $240 billion a year. First of all, that number is higher than I thought. But secondly, you also note that it's a lot more than is given through foundations.
Yeah, you really can't compete with government giving. Like zooming all the way out, the federal government is just so important to the nonprofit sector. Nonprofits raise money on their own, of course, and philanthropists in the private sector raises money too. But I don't know if people realize just how important the federal government is to sort of supporting all of that infrastructure.
And then there's been a lot of political criticism of some of the charitable organizations that had been supported, and suddenly this gets into a whole left, right, red, blue kind of argument. That's the.
Did you hear me sigh?
I did. The sigh, I think, answers my question.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. We should say that the White House, when I asked them about this, I asked them, are you concerned? All these nonprofits are saying they're really struggling. And the White House just got back to me and said, federal funding for left-wing ideological pet projects has been cut. And so has funding that went to the nonprofits that cared for unaccompanied minors coming across the border. And they said, oh, we don't need that anymore because no one comes across the border anymore. And then they said, nonprofits can still get money from the private sector. So they don't seem concerned. And they seem to be saying that it was only left-wing nonprofits that have seen a cut in funding. But the reporting really says otherwise. I don't think food banks think of themselves as left-wing. Plenty of nonpartisan projects and groups have also lost funding. And as I said before, the whole nonprofit sector is being affected by this. So even if it were simply just left-wing nonprofits not getting funding, the drain of money out of the system is affecting all the nonprofits.
And of course, a lot of this data is all before we started this war with Iran, when we've seen the gas price spike and everything else. So this situation is probably on the wrong trajectory.
Yes, that is true. We are seeing signs of stress for lower income Americans right now, who, need to pay for gas. Prices have gone up, and that means we're starting to see signs that they're cutting spending in other areas. And that's typically the kind of thing that would drive more people to some of these nonprofits for help.
Yeah. And then just the cost of operating a food bank these days must be astronomical.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Food prices are going up with increased inflation right now. So that's adding like another source of stress on the system. And we didn't even mention the cuts to SNAP, to food stamps, which is also putting more stress on the system.
And changes to the program overall, with states limiting some of the foods that are available to try to save money.
Yes, exactly. And the White House has talked about, I think it's more than 1 million people who have gotten off of SNAP or food stamps over the past year. But it's not clear, why. The White House frames it as people are doing better and don't need them. But other groups say it's a bit more complicated. Some of those rule changes just mean that fewer people get benefits.
Emily Peck is a national correspondent for Axios, with a report this week that shows how nonprofits across the country are feeling the squeeze as federal support dollars are drying up. Emily, thanks so much for the story.
Thanks, Rory.
We're just weeks away from the U.S. men's soccer team taking to the field in Los Angeles in their first match of the World Cup. As the team prepares for their first game, the Department of Homeland Security is playing catch-up. After the longest shutdown of a federal agency in government history, former Secret Service agent Charles Marano says the shutdown led to severe consequences.
Not only employees' morale going down and working without pay, but also they've seen a large amount of turnover, especially in agencies like TSA and CISA, the Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency.
The U.S. will host 78 World Cup matches in 11 cities starting June 12th. The legal fight over the reflecting pool, and one of the brothers behind Dumb and Dumber on his new movie. As the Weekend Dive rolls on, I'm Rory O'Neill.
You probably have an app for streaming and an app for podcasts.
But does your audio bundle include an app for radio?
An app for what's happening right now? An app for breaking news that'll change your daily routine? An app that starts your morning with what you missed last night?
That app is iHeartRadio.
The app that lets you listen to thousands of live radio stations and more. Download the #1 app for radio.
The free iHeartRadio app today.
iHeartRadio.
Forget everything you know about tennis. This is tennis turned up. Experience fast, fierce, professional co-ed team tennis in a custom-built Atlanta arena where the volume stays high. Ditch the quiet please for live DJs, non-stop entertainment, and action-packed matches where fans are a part of the show. No weird scoring, no sets, no endless matches. Intense stacks the points in the fastest version of tennis ever. 10 teams will compete for $30,000 in cash all summer long. Don't miss out on the action. Get your tickets now at tennisturnedup.com.
Please be advised, you may want to stop eating the following foods immediately: broccoli, kale, bean sprouts, blueberries, quinoa, spinach.
Wait, what? I thought those were good for me.
Turns out, not for everyone. Because what's healthy for one person can cause inflammation for another. And the only way to really know what your body needs is to listen to it.
Listen how?
That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that looks at your body's real-time biology using RNA to understand what's happening inside you right now. When your results come in, you'll learn exactly which foods to eat, which to avoid, and which supplements are right for you. All based on the world's largest RNA-based human biology database and thousands of clinical research studies. And many people who use Viome report more energy, better digestion, and a better mood within months. So stop guessing. Start knowing. Visit Viome.com. V as in Victor, IOME.com. Viome. Trust your gut.
Professional wrestling fans, the action continues every week. Watch TNA Thursday Night Impact every week on AMC.
It is like electricity flowing through your veins.
Don't miss the adrenaline, the drama, and the total non-stop action.
No one can ever be as good as this right here.
Don't miss the action of TNA Thursday Night Impact every week on AMC. For showtimes and more information, visit TNAWrestling.com.
1877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now or go to carsforkids.org.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Vacation voucher not available in Oregon.
Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next two combined. So whatever your customers are into, true crime, sports, comedy, culture, they'll hear your message. Plus, only iHeart can extend your message to audiences across broadcast radio. And all this reach means everything. Just think about the universal marketing formula. The number of consumers who hear your message times the response rate equals the results. Now let's get those results growing for you. Think podcasting can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, radio, and podcasting. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com. Or call 844-844-iHeart. One more time. Call 844-844-iHeart and get podcasting working for you.
This July 4th, come celebrate at America's Block Party, hosted by America 250. America's Block Party is a can't-miss 4th of July concert happening at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Experience music performances from major artists, patriotic tributes, and the kickoff to Giving Forth, helping to make July 4th the largest day of giving in American history. It's more than just fireworks. Learn more about this landmark celebration at america250.org.
This summer, don't squeeze in, spread out. Find homes big enough for your whole guest list on Vrbo. That's vacation rentals done right. Book your stay now.
Awake? Debatable. Hungry? Absolutely. Your morning routine consisted of scrambling to find your phone, wallet, and keys, and you're already out the door. Cool off with a refreshing large Big Gulp drink at 7-Eleven. Cold, refreshing, and made the way you like it. It's available at 7-Eleven and just 59 cents with 7 rewards. Download the app and swing by the local 7-Eleven near you. Valid through 6/23/26 while supplies last. Participating stores. See app for full terms.
Of the latest news and events, The Weekend Dive.
Importantly, the UN agency said the current situation did not meet the threshold to be described as a pandemic.
The Castros are in the business of power, not in the business of feeding the Cuban people on the island.
Welcome back to The Weekend Dive. I'm Rory O'Neill. Memorial Day weekend kicks off the summer movie season. And to mix holiday metaphors, Christmas has come early for Hollywood. Sean Robbins is the founder of Box Office Theory and the director of analytics at Fandango. Now, Sean, between The Devil Wears Prada 2 and Project Hail Mary and that Michael Jackson bio, even Sheep Detectives, the box office is already booming.
Yeah, as post-pandemic trends can go for theaters, this has really been about as good as anyone could have expected, kind of on the best case scenario end of things. I think coming into this year, we expected a lot of positive movies later on in the summer and the holiday season that we'll talk about. But for a consistent string of overperformers like Michael and Prada, Sheep Detectives and Hoppers and Scream, it's been win after win.
And it does seem that we are just going to get a little bit of everything this summer, and to have Memorial Day weekend kick off with a new Star Wars movie. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, it's a throwback to the originals. George Lucas would open his original trilogy back in May of 77 through 83, and the prequels did something very similar. So, of course, Star Wars is in a very different position now than it was back then, or even 10 years ago when the Disney era started, and expectations are adapting to that as needed.
For some of the movies that are coming out this summer, I don't know, there seem to be a couple of grown-up movies in here. Like an adult might actually want to go to the theater. I'm thinking of stuff like, I was going to say Disclosure Day from Steven Spielberg, and, of course, The Odyssey. So you're going to have Christopher Nolan and Steven Spielberg in theaters this summer, and my goodness, someone over 25 might actually want to go to a movie.
Yeah, you're right in my wheelhouse there. Like many people, I grew up a huge Spielberg fan. I have been a massive Nolan fan in my adult years. To have these two just iconic filmmakers putting out two massive movies in one summer is incredibly rare, just in perspective of where movie going ever has been. So it's going to be a special treat. Of course, it always comes down to that caveat. Will the movies meet expectations? Will they win over audiences? It's hard to bet against these guys, but you never know. Sometimes might get mixed reception. I don't know if that's really expected, but when you have so much anticipation, it's kind of hard to rule out, maybe some opinions floating around. We already see that a little bit. But of course, on top of that, you have things like Backrooms, which is, kind of a more video game based, but it's in the horror genre. A24 kind of courting their movie game crowd, their video game crowd next week. And then you'll see things like Young Washington from Angel Studios, kind of breaking outside of their faith-based, value-based audience with a more mainstream period historic movie. So we have examples like that this summer.
The Death of Robin Hood, I think, might be another one too.
Exactly, another good one. Yes.
All right, 3 reasons for at least me to go to the movies this summer. But there's a lot more kid-friendly fare out there. You called them family movies. I mean, you've got Toy Story 5, a Minions movie, and the remake of Moana. I mean, what more could a kid want?
It's a pretty stacked release slate. I think especially considering we've already seen a Mario sequel this year, and we mentioned Hoppers and Sheep Detectives. Kids movies are back. Family movies are back, and people are showing up for them. That's the important thing. For a while, for a couple of years after the pandemic, it was mostly the franchise sequels that were doing big numbers. Of course, that's what we're talking about this summer, but it comes after a wave of and I would include GOAT from Sony back in February, also doing really well. But now we hit those heavy hitters. Toy Story 5 has that generational appeal. It's kind of like the Star Wars of animation. It just keeps transcending time. And of course, Moana, Minions, and even some live action movies like Spider-Man and Mandalorian, those cross over with family audiences very well.
All right, though. I love the Toy Story franchise as much as anybody else, but any movie with a 5 at the end, I don't know.
Fair enough. I will say sometimes you don't realize they're the 5th and they can kind of get away with it, but you never know. We'll see. I think there's Rocky 5 and then there's Fast 5. Empire Strikes Back is technically number 5. If you really break it down.
That's right. I'm sure there was a Police Academy 5 is somewhere in there too.
Oh, of course.
But you did mention Spider-Man. Supergirl is also coming back to the theater, so we do have our dose of superheroes like we'd expect in the summer.
Of course. And, again, much like Star Wars, superheroes are in a different life cycle than they were in years past. Supergirl is probably the more experimental, maybe a little bit more of a wild card, just as a continuation of James Gunn's new DC universe after Superman did really well last year. This is a little bit of a litmus test to see how well a character like that might do outside of your Superman and your Batman. I think a lot of buzz for her character is great. We'll see how the movie itself ends up performing. And then, of course, Spider-Man. I mean, it's generational. It always stands up. People love Tom Holland. I think people are really curious to see 5 years later how that storyline continues, and maybe if it leads into the Avengers film later this year, or if it doesn't even reference it. Who knows?
And then, of course, horror movies, which are still, I mean, look, horror movies are very good at putting butts in seats. And I think you could probably track that better than most.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of unreal. We are on a run of horror hits. Sometimes they're indie films, so they're not pulling $100 or $200 million like Sinners and Weapons last year, but they don't need to. We're talking about low budget hits like Obsession doing really well, Hokum a few weeks ago, Undertone earlier this year, Send Help from Sam Raimi, and now this summer, I mentioned Backrooms, that comes out next week. There'll be an Insidious sequel later in the summer. It's just kind of a genre that has continued to peak for a very long time, and it speaks to the level of creativity. And honestly, this summer, you have horror and you have comedy coming back with Scary Movie and The Breadwinner and things like that. Jackass has its finale, so every genre is covered.
That might be a movie with a 5 after it, too, but
I believe it is. I think you're right.
See, I'm detecting a theme. Sean Robbins, the founder of Box Office Theory and the director of analytics at Fandango, with a preview of this summer's movie season. Hey, Sean, thanks for the preview.
Thanks as always, Rory.
Some endings of note this week. Among them, gay rights advocate, former Congressman Barney Frank of Massachusetts died at the age of 86. Democrat Jerry Nadler remembered Frank as an advocate for LGBTQ plus rights in Congress after he came out while in office.
Barney was a great champion of all kinds of civil rights and civil liberties. I particularly remember the day in 2008 when he became the first member to offer a motion to recognize transgender people.
Frank also co-sponsored the 2010 Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. CBS News Radio signed off this week after 99 years of broadcast history, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert aired its final show this week, and not everyone was sad to see it go.
I don't care for it because he's an ultra-lib, and I don't care for ultra-libs.
Devastated because he really is honest and true, and he's smart.
He had a great run, and he's going to be missed. The show's going to be missed.
I mean, it is a sad ending just because it's been on the TV for so long.
The Late Show franchise began back in 1993 when David Letterman made the move to CBS. NASA has new plans for the moon. We'll talk about it next time on The Weekend Dive. I'm Rory O'Neill.
Speech on. Selected. Screen record.